I've just posted a piece about the Matt cartoon, and Harvey Brown has written back almost immediately. Thank you very much. Says there's no diversity of thought in reform. Farage voted against the bill the other day and wanted an investigation just into Pakistani grooming gangs. This is racist ideology. Well, I'm inclined to agree with you, but the issue really is about whether or not we should allow political ideology to dictate employment, and I think I should continue to speak up about this political ideology that dictates employment. So if you lose your job because of your affiliation to a political party, whether I like it or not, this undermines meritocracy, competency, and trust in any institution, often leading to disastrous outcomes for government, for society, for the economy. When employment is based on political loyalty, or when employment is denied on the basis of political loyalty rather than qualifications or competence, and even there, I think qualifications are dodgy, particularly because I have seen in the process of trying to and trying to justify employment on political loyalty, qualifications can be faked. The consequences include inefficiency, corruption, the discontent, the wider discontent in society, distrust of institutions, the erosion of public trust in general in the institutions that we should trust. So, I mean, if you go back, of course, you've got the issue of Nazi Germany, where employment under the Nazi regime, employment in education, policing, the civil service, required loyalty to the Nazi party, and teachers were dismissed if they were Jewish or were considered politically unreliable, regardless of their qualifications. Nazi educational reforms replaced competent teachers with ideologically loyal but unqualified individuals who promoted the Nazi propaganda. This crippled intellectual growth and indoctrinated an entire generation. Police and military positions were filled with Nazi loyalists, many of whom lacked basic skills but carried out the regime's oppressive policies, including the Gestapo's brutal tactics and the concentration camp development. And the Nazi Party, of course, issued fake qualifications to loyalists to promote them into roles that they were unprepared for, damaging institutional credibility. And of course, once you fall out of favour with these institutions, even if you've got legitimate qualifications, those qualifications and those roles are distorted with hindsight. Mussolini's regime required loyalty to the fascist party to get advancement in government, education and law enforcement. And the consequences, again, where administration was chosen on the basis of loyalty, led to an underqualified and a politicized system that hindered reforms and government, and economic stagnation, public dissatisfaction, because of widespread corruption and incompetence among party appointments. And then this continued long after the war. You only have to look at the Don Camillo stories. When it comes to Albania, for example, during Enver Hoxha's regime, employment at all levels, from factory work to university teaching, required unwavering loyalty to the Communist Party. And positions were allocated not based on qualifications, but on adherence to Hoxha's particular Stalinist view. And then when Hoxha fell out with Stalin and moved to the Sino-Albanian Pact, there was loyalty to China, and schools were then teaching Chinese as opposed to Russian. This ideological instruction dominated or took precedence over actual learning, creating a generation of bizarrely trained workers incapable of contributing meaningfully to the economy, and stagnating the system. Factories were managed by party loyalists. I remember seeing 2 factories which had been built by China near Elbasan. Inefficient and leading to near economic collapse. And again, the trade in fake credentials, fabricated degrees, became a means to secure high-ranking positions. The Eastern Germany, the GDR, Same issues. The Stasi and other institutions employed people based on their loyalty to the Socialist Unity Party. Positions in academia, media, industry were similarly politicized. You only have to look at what's that wonderful Hitchcock film with Julie Andrews? Anyway, I can't remember. Julie Andrews and Paul Newman escaping from East Germany. And Torn Curtain, there we are. Teachers had to demonstrate ideological purity, which often excluded capable sort of writing. The censorship that is endorsed by this nonsense is absurd. The fact that people in Russia were denied access to Nabokov is nonsensical. Education focused heavily on Marxist-Leninist ideology rather than critical thinking or practical skills. Again, factories and farms led to politically appointed managers underperforming, and this contributed to the economic stagnation of Eastern Germany. And corruption, a thriving trade, again in fake degrees, inflated credentials, as party membership became the key to employment. Ceausescu's regime, another. Loyalty to Ceausescu and the Communist Party, paramount. Healthcare, medical, hospitals and medical institutions employed underqualified individuals, causing a decline in public health standards, causing anxiety if you had a health scare. Teachers focusing on glorying Ceausescu's regime rather than genuine academic development. In contemporary Russia, loyalty to Vladimir Putin and his party increasingly dictates employment in the public sector, in law enforcement, in the media, and journalism, media outlets filled with loyalists promoting state propaganda and rubbish, like Irada Zainalova, and the imprimatur of Putin's approval, and then the nonsense poster. I'm now seeing people on YouTube and hearing from people in my own university that I was a professor of animation. I wasn't. That the only thing I did was to get some sort of professorship for becoming for starting an animation faculty. I started an animation faculty. I ran an animation course, but that was a sideline. I was actually running the educational faculty. I was doing stuff with English teaching and teaching primary school teachers how to teach. It's extraordinary how when you fall out of favour, your identity is besmirched. But hey, it was an interesting time, and I did not compromise, and I still don't compromise. Judges, prosecutors, all these people in modern Russia often lack proper qualifications, and this erodes judicial independence. It erodes basic trust and competence. But black market again in fake degrees and qualifications, and this thrives even in with high-ranking officials exposed for holding fraudulent credentials. In Greece, where I lived for a while during the end of the PASOK era. During the PASOK era, if you were a member of the PASOK party, then that pretty well guaranteed that you kept your job in the Olympiakos Airways, which was a failing industry. And Greece's public sector became synonymous with nepotism and cronyism, with jobs handed out based on party loyalty. Ministries, hospitals, educational institutions all became bloated with unqualified workers, resulting in inefficiency and financial crisis. The black market in fake qualifications emerged as party-affiliated individuals tried to secure high-ranking jobs. The amount of stories that I can tell you about the the bank managers who pretended to have an English qualification because that was required under the law, and who sent other people to do their exams and then could not speak English. The amount of times I went into schools in Greece to talk to or meet the English department, or to go and see children in schools, to talk in classrooms about English, and the class teacher could not speak English, and that is why there was such a rise in private education after school, the frontisteria, and indeed when the last socialist government got into power and tried to raise VAT on private education, they were of course smashing the very bit of education that was working, and their VAT levy failed. It had to be removed. And of course, the present British government hasn't looked into that farce. So the general lessons are that party affiliation, party loyalty is a job requirement, sidelines qualified professionals, and getting rid of people because of their party affiliation sidelines qualified professionals, leading to inefficiency in critical sectors like education, health, law. It doesn't matter, actually, what you're employed in. Your party political activism, your social media activism should be irrelevant. And the trade in fake degrees, the inflated credentials that flourish in such a system where people's beliefs, people's thoughts are policed, leads to an absurdity and undermines basic trust. Institutions dominated by party loyalty lose credibility, creating discontent in society, reducing the state's capacity to govern effectively. We need to stamp on this nonsense. Whether people are members of Reform UK, or members of the Communist Party, or members of the Conservative Party, or Labour, or indeed Lib Dems, it doesn't matter. It should not matter to somebody's employment. That is as important a principle in a housing association as it is in the BBC. The dogfights over what's the name of the runner who presents Match of the Day or something. This is as absurd as the Matt cartoon this morning. Political loyalty that overwhelms employment criteria creates a society where the most capable individuals are excluded, where inefficiency becomes endemic, where public trust collapses, and the examples from fascist and communist regimes highlight the dangers of interweaving employment with ideology, reinforcing the necessity for promoting meritocracy and transparency in hiring practices. And, today it's a Matt cartoon. Tomorrow it may be something else. We cannot allow this sort of nonsense to filter into the workplace. It's already done it in teaching, and it shouldn't do it elsewhere. And, it's neither political loyalty should bar somebody from a job, nor should it be a requirement for a job. Political loyalty, nor indeed members of the Freemasons or any other ridiculous tribe. This should not be part of our employment criteria. Our employment criteria should be based on the quality of somebody's performance. I even think something like qualifications and credentials are less important than their ability to do the job, frankly. I'd love to hear your opinion on this, but I think this is a very dangerous game.